The title, the thumbnail, and just the overall topic of this video is going to anger a lot of One Piece fans, particularly fans of Eustass Kid. I want to make it abundantly clear from the very beginning of this video that I am not making this for some sort of ulterior motive or to push any form of agenda. I seriously think that this is the purpose of Eustass Kid as a character, and this is his role in the story of One Piece. It is a common notion within the One Piece community to see Eustass Kid as a rival to Luffy, and this is factually correct. A rival is an individual who is competing against you for a similar goal, and Kid wants to be the Pirate King just like Luffy, and he's also competing with him here in Wano, where they both want to go after Kaido's head. Oda also made them compete in the Udon prison mines, further adding to this notion that Kid and Luffy are rivals. That is pretty much undeniable fact here. They are without a doubt rivals. However, I do not think that is the main purpose of Kid's character. I don't think the main point of him is to serve as Luffy's rival, but rather I think he is a foil to Luffy. His character serves as a foil to Luffy's character. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the term foil character, the role of a foil character is to basically highlight an aspect of the character who they are a foil of. A good example of a foil to Luffy would be Kobe. Kobe is obviously what Luffy would have been if he had joined the Marines. Maybe not one-to-one, because we know Luffy and Kobe have differences in personality, but through showing us Kobe rise through the ranks of the Marines and progress within that faction of the world, we see what Luffy could have been had he joined the Marines. There are various different characters who serve the role of a foil to Luffy in One Piece, and just a foil to other characters. Blackbeard serves as a foil to Luffy in the sense that we see the lengths that he is willing to go to pursue his dream, where Luffy takes a very orthodox route and just travels forward, overcoming obstacles along the way. Blackbeard is no stranger to using petty, underhanded tricks in order to achieve what he wants. The difference between Blackbeard and Kid when it comes to being a foil of Luffy is that I genuinely believe Kid's main purpose as a character is to be Luffy's foil, whereas Blackbeard has a lot more going for him in terms of the rivalry between himself and Luffy, as well as the endgame boss vibes, you know, the final antagonist stuff, the biggest rival for the Pirate King. Lots going for Blackbeard, but when it comes to Kid, I seriously just think the main thing when it comes to his character is the fact that he is a foil of Luffy. I'm not saying this is the only thing when it comes to Kid's character, because there's obviously far more to him, but I think this is the main thing Oda is trying to knuckle down on. What is very interesting about this is the fact that we actually haven't seen much of Kid in the story. For a character so loved in the One Piece fandom, he actually hasn't shown up much. He's made various appearances throughout the story, but nothing relatively significant outside of Wano, where recently in Onigashima, Kid has been getting a lot of significance and he's been getting a lot of spotlight, and this is obviously for a reason. He's going to do something massive in Wano. But the point of this video is why I don't think he will be doing anything as massive as what Luffy will be doing, and why he will continue to be outshined by Luffy for the rest of the series. I think Kid is destined for failure, and I'm going to get into why right now. So hopefully you understand what a foil character is. Now let's take a look at Kid and what has been done in regards to him in the story so far, and how we can tie this back to Luffy. Kid makes his initial appearance into the story in Sabaody Archipelago, where he is actually introduced alongside the rest of the worst generation supernova. Of all the supernova present on the island at the time, Kid had the highest bounty, surpassing even Luffy's bounty by 15 million berry. After the War of the Best in Marineford, Kid made his way into the New World and started to just attack every pirate he saw, beginning the real half of his journey in pursuit of becoming the Pirate King. 2 years have passed, and over these 2 years, Eustass Kid has encountered 3 out of 4 of the Emperors of the Sea, or at least their crew. He's had some sort of issue with them. He lost an arm against the Redhead pirates, and he was also involved in a battle against one of Big Mom's Sweet Commanders. After forming an alliance with Scratchman Apu and Basil Hawkins, Kaido jumps off a sky island, landing on the island where Kid, Killer, Hawkins and Apu are at. Then he beats the shit out of Kid and Killer. Hawkins becomes subservient to Kaido, and it turns out Apu was on Kaido's side from the very beginning, and he actually set Kid, Killer and Hawkins up. So to sum up everything I just said, Kid is a supernova just like Luffy. He had a higher bounty than Luffy 2 years ago. He also indulged in alliances just like Luffy, but his alliance came to a failure, unlike Luffy's. And it's also worth mentioning that his encounters with Yonko have come with severe consequences, such as him losing a limb, whereas Luffy has gotten away from the pursuit of Yonkos and has managed to survive fairly well so far. If we try and analyze the very little we have from Kid so far, you'll actually find that a lot of the things he's been involved with serve to highlight an aspect of Luffy as a character. Kid's bounty is the highest on Sabaody. It's higher than Luffy's. Luffy was the man who declared war on the entire world, but for some reason Kid's bounty was higher than Luffy's. Why? Why is that? Because Kid is killing civilians, whereas Luffy is saving nations and protecting people. Kid is somebody who indulges in heinous acts and can come across as quite menacing and just downright villainous at times. Luffy, on the other hand, is very good-natured, kind-hearted, and nothing like Kid in this regard. So by giving Kid a higher bounty than Luffy because he is willing to kill civilians that laugh at his dream, Oda is highlighting the aspect of Luffy that will allow himself to get the shit beat out of him and have alcohol spat in his face if people laugh at his dream. This is where Kid and Luffy are very different, and that is why Kid had a higher bounty than him in Sabaody. It's to highlight this aspect of Luffy as a character. Now let's look at Luffy's alliances in comparison to Kid. You can actually ignore the Luffy and Law alliance for this point because that plotline is still in the works and we don't have any idea what fate holds in store for these two. But let's look at a finished and completed alliance that, served its purpose. The Luffy and Beji alliance in Whole Cake Island. Luffy and Capone's alliance, although they failed in their objective, was relatively successful in, working together and helping each other out. There was no backstabbing, there was no underhanded tricks, it was just two guys working for a common goal and willing to put aside their own rivalry or, competition in order to achieve this goal. Now let's compare this alliance to the alliance of Kid, Hawkins and Apu. Why was Luffy and Beji's alliance relatively successful, and why did Kid's alliance turn to shit within a matter of days? One of the reasons why Kid's alliance failed is because it was built on self-serving interests. Every single person that was a part of this alliance had their own motives at hand that they focused on and that took precedence over the overall motive of them as a group. However, the main reason, the biggest reason the alliance failed is because Apu was a snitch and he was working for Kaido from the very beginning. And what's very interesting about this is that Kid and Killer failed to see this coming. They failed to see Apu backstabbing them. And this highlights an aspect of Luffy that I'm sure you may be well aware of, and that is the fact that he is a very good judge of character. He knows whether or not he can trust you just by taking a look at you. I think the only time Luffy has ever been duped into believing in somebody or having trust for somebody that he shouldn't have trusted is probably Kanjuro, and that was very recent, and that guy had people who, spent their entire lives with him duped, so I don't blame Luffy for not getting that one. So yeah, by having Kid form an alliance with somebody that shouldn't have been trusted, it ties into why Luffy's alliances succeed and highlights an aspect of him being the fact that he is a very good judge of character. And lastly, let's look at Kid's encounters with the Yonko versus Luffy's encounters with the Yonko. Why is Luffy getting away from them and surviving? Why is Kid losing an arm to the Redhead Pirates when Luffy is surviving an encounter against them and actually defeating the two strongest sons of the family? Obviously you have to factor in the fact that this is Luffy's story and he's the main character, but you can actually explain this and justify this by saying that Luffy spent 2 years training before he entered the New World, whereas Kid just stepped into the New World and had to learn the harsh way. He had to be beaten down, he had to see the vast difference in power between himself and the very top dogs, whereas Luffy had 2 years to prepare himself and actually saw the vast difference in power in Marineford 2 years ago, so he had a grasp of what it's like to be in the New World, which Kid didn't have. All of the things I just discussed are, some of the biggest things we have pertaining to Kid in the story so far. These are things that Oda has taken his time to include, and these are actually more prevalent than, the rivalry between Luffy and Kid. Of course, Luffy and Kid are rivals, and that's clear cut, and that's, set in stone, but these scenes that paint Kid as a foil to Luffy are a lot more prevalent and significant to the story. Kid serves as this massive what-if character. He's the kind of character you look at and you think, well, what if Luffy didn't train for 2 years? What would have happened in Fishman Island? Would he have lost to Hody? Or what would have happened in Punk Hazard? Would he have lost to Caesar? Or what would have happened in Dressrosa? Would he have lost to Doflamingo? What if he entered the New World with absolutely no training? Surely he would get his ass handed to him, and yes, we know he would have, because we have Kid in the story who had his ass handed to him for doing that very thing. We have Kid to answer these questions for us. Oda doesn't have to specifically answer that question. He doesn't have to say, oh, if Luffy didn't train before entering the New World, he would have had his ass handed to him. He answers that question through Kid. He makes Kid take overwhelming losses against Emperors of the Sea. And this is why I think Kid is destined for failure. Unless he stops being a foil to Luffy, then he's going to be doomed for the rest of the series. Kid can still be just as strong as Luffy. He can have just as much willpower as Luffy. He can have just as much ambition as Luffy, and I'm sure he will have all three of these things, but is he going to be Luffy? Is he going to take these massive, immense W's that Luffy is going to take? Is he going to defeat Emperors of the Sea? Is he going to become the Pirate King, find the One Piece, challenge the world government? No, he isn't going to do all of these things, and if his role as a foil in the story continues, then we are going to find out why Luffy is capable of doing these things through Kid. We're going to have answers to questions like, what if Luffy didn't have a crew as powerful as the Straw Hats? Answered through Kid. Kid's crew doesn't seem like anything special right now. I mean, I could be wrong. Heat and Wire could be super strong, but from what we've seen so far, they don't seem like anything special. So by giving Kid this not so special crew, Oda is highlighting the significance of the Straw Hats and how they are pivotal to Luffy achieving his goal. I also think it's very important to mention the fact that the pirate that Kid is suspected to be based off of is known as the unluckiest pirate in history. Captain William Kidd. Kidd is quite clearly based off of Captain William Kidd because he not only shares the same name as him, but he's also a redhead just like Captain William Kidd was. In fact, Oda himself confirmed in SBS Volume 52 that Kidd's surname and name were taken from 2 real-life pirates. His surname was taken from the French pirate and mercenary Eustass the Monk, and his first name, Kidd, was obviously inspired by Captain William Kidd, the Scottish pirate and privateer, who was also nicknamed Captain just like Kidd in One Piece. The fact that Kidd is loosely based off of the unluckiest pirate in the world is honestly kind of telling. I mean, he's been really unlucky so far in the series, and I don't see Oda stopping this anytime soon. And don't get me wrong guys, I don't think Kidd is going to be taking L's after L's after L's after L's. I do think Oda is going to throw him a bone here and there, perhaps give him a commander fight in this arc, or let him have his shine against Kaido where he lands multiple blows on Kaido, but we'll have to see when it comes to that. My point is, Kidd isn't going to do anything that matches up to Luffy in any way. that is pretty much stamped with how his character has been written so far. His main purpose so far is to further Luffy's characterization and highlight aspects of Luffy, and that is why I can't see him doing something significantly impressive in the story. I mean, I definitely do think we're going to see impressive things for Kid, but I don't think it's going to be anything that severely affects the overall narrative of the series, like things we can expect from Blackbeard. Blackbeard is a character who's going to have that sort of shine. Blackbeard has already had that sort of shine. But when it comes to Kid, it's very hard to see Oda give him massive accomplishments in the story because of how his character has been treated so far in the series. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you guys think Kid is going to get some massive accomplishments in the story? Do you think he could perhaps kill a Yonko at some point? I don't know. Maybe Kaido? Maybe, you know, Shanks? I don't know, guys. This is just my 2 cents on the matter, and I definitely could see myself being wrong here. But for now, I do stick to my stance of Kid being destined for failure. Make sure you share your thoughts on this video down below, like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more One Piece content if that is what you're into. I have been Fiji. Peace.